Okay, imagine the most boring, mundane part of your day, your daily commute, right? Now, imagine that twisting into an absolute nightmare. Picture the evening shadows stretching across the train tracks. Just past the tree line, something is watching the passenger cars roll by. A Trudale, a witch. But see, she isn't haunting some lonely, desolate forest like the old stories always say. No, she's standing right there in the dark, watching the warm, yellow lights of the train with this burning, singular obsession. She doesn't want to curse the train. Honestly, she just wants to board it. She literally wants to experience the journey right alongside completely unsuspecting humans.
So that begs the question, what happens when the monster isn't waiting for you in the woods, but is already inside with you? I want you to really feel that claustrophobia for a second. Think about it. You're trapped in this moving metal tube hurtling down the tracks in the dead of night. You're shoulder to shoulder with absolute strangers. The air is stale, it's heavy with the heat of dozens of bodies, and you are completely unaware that a supernatural predator is hiding right next to you, breathing that exact same recycled air. You can't run, you can't hide, you are locked in together.
And the truly terrifying thing here, it isn't a thirst for blood. Actually, scratch that. She didn't want to hunt at all. She just wanted to ride. It wasn't about launching some immediate slaughter. It was this dark, obsessive hunger to simply mimic the human experience, to sit where we sit, to move how we move. But she was highly intelligent. She knew for a fact that if she stepped onto that brightly lit platform in her true, rotting form, it would trigger an absolute paralyzing stampede, right? So she had to adapt, to blend in. She had to become the very prey she was so fascinated by. So to slip past our radar, she had to become one of us. Imagine this meticulous, chilling preparation. She pulls a heavy coat up tight, puts on these thick, dark glasses to obscure her hollow eyes, pulls a hat down low, and stretches a mask tightly over her horrifying, unnatural features. Covered from head to toe, she steps out of the shadows and right onto the bustling railway platform. And then the duck-a-mookie begins, that fierce, crushing shove of human bodies trying to board a train. She physically batters her way into the compartment, violently forcing herself into the center of the crowd, hiding perfectly in plain sight. But man, there is a bitter irony in getting exactly what you wish for. From the outside, the train was this glowing, alluring mystery, right? Like a romanticized vision of human connection. But the exact second those heavy metal doors clamped shut, the illusion totally shattered. The air inside was incredibly thick, suffocating, just reeking of sweat and anxiety. The ultimate hunter suddenly realized she was trapped in a tiny locked box. The crushing weight of the crowd pressed in on her from literally all sides. The predator had unwittingly locked herself inside a cage. And into this completely claustrophobic powder keg steps the most mundane catalyst imaginable, a humble chana vendor. Just a man selling chickpeas, trying to squeeze his tiny cart through an absolute ocean of irritated shoulder-to-shoulder passengers. Every single inch he moves, every little jostle of his cart, pushes the disguised horror closer and closer to the edge. The tension in that sweltering compartment is stretched to the absolute breaking point. It's a ticking bomb, just waiting for the slightest spark. And then, why does the train suddenly stop? Well, a stray hand from the vendor snagged the emergency chain. Put yourself in that car right now. There's a violent screech of metal on metal, a harsh jolt that throws everyone completely off balance. The lights flicker, and the deafening roar of the engine suddenly dies out into an eerie, suffocating silence. You are stranded in the pitch black of the night. Nowhere near a station, locked in a dead metal box with something highly unnatural. It all happens in seconds. The chain drops. The train violently jolts to a halt, throwing bodies against each other in the gloom, and pure, blind pandemonium erupts. The heat rises, tempers just completely boil over, and people are screaming in the dark, absolutely furious about the unexplained delay. The panic is totally infectious, turning the packed compartment into an angry mob. And right in the center of that frenzied chaos, in a flash of blind frustration, a furious passenger violently shoves the witch. The push lands hard, and time just seems to slow to an agonizing crawl. The violent jolt knocks her backward. Her hat tumbles to the dirty floorboards. The thick glasses clatter away into the darkness. And then, the mask slips. In a fraction of a second, her carefully constructed human facade evaporates entirely. The passengers turn, and their petty anger instantly freezes into pure, primal terror as they look upon her true, horrifying visage, suddenly realizing exactly what they are locked inside with. And in that precise moment of absolute, inescapable dread,
right as the monster bares her teeth to the trapped crowd. The source material we're looking at abruptly cuts to black with a chilling, almost mocking whisper. It literally says, "Now that we have reached this far, please subscribe to the channel and like the video." It is such a jarring, breathless echo, yanking us right out of the nightmare, yet leaving the true horror perfectly unresolved. So, as we wrap up this explainer and leave that train stranded in the absolute dark, what do you think happened next?